Hey everybody, I hope everybody's doing well today. Thank you for taking the time to take a look at my video. Before I get started, I just got to tell you guys, I thought this was cute, but they're starting a new sport, and it's called quiet tennis. The reason it's called quiet tennis is because it's tennis without the racket. I know it's kind of corny, but I had to start. I had to start it out. I had to tell y'all. I thought it was kind of cute. Anyhow, today's video is going to be about some motivation. And what I figured out about motivation is it'll lie to you. And you get up on Monday and you got plans. You're going to change your life. You're gonna lose weight, or you're gonna clean the garage, whatever it is, And then the end of the week comes around, and suddenly that couch starts looking pretty comfortable. And, you don't get around to doing those things that you planned to do. So, again, thank you for everybody for showing up and taking the time to watch. I'm Joe with Just Sharing Life, and if it's your first time here, welcome. If you're back again, thank you for coming back. And if you're here, please take a time and hit that like button and subscribe, because it surely helps out, and I would definitely appreciate it. So, today I want to talk about how I stay consistent when motivation disappears. And because there's one thing that I know, if we only did one thing on the days that I felt motivated, I wouldn't get very much done. And I don't know if y'all's the same way or not, but when starting something is usually the easy part. But let's for example, let's talk about New Year's resolutions for a second. The gym fills up in January because everybody's eating better and everybody's going to go to the gym and they want to feel better, and that's their New Year's resolution, and they've been talking about it for 5 years, and then they're going to go ahead and they're going to do it. So what happens? Well, February shows up, and somehow there's plenty of parking at the gym. Because why? Well, I don't think everybody suddenly stopped wanting to get better, working out or anything like that. It's just that excitement wore off. And, I've done the same thing. And I've had ideas that sounded great, and, at nighttime. And then the next morning, when you get ready to really figure it out, and the reasons why you didn't, because that motivation that you had last night just all of a sudden realized you don't have it the next morning. Motivation is great for getting you started, but it's terrible for keeping you going. So what do you do when you wake up one morning and simply don't feel like doing it? Well, for me, it's pretty simple. I do something anyway. Not everything, something though. And that's a big difference. I used to think consistency meant that you had to do 100% every day. But, at my age, I don't believe that anymore. Some days I've got a lot to tank. I got a lot where I can get done. And other days I'm about 10-20%. And instead of doing nothing because I can't give 100%, I'll use that 10-20% what I got. And if I don't feel like working for an hour, maybe I go for 20 minutes, or whatever little thing it is. Unless it's something that I promised I would do for somebody or something of that nature. If I don't feel like working on a project at all that afternoon, maybe I'll give it, 30 minutes. But that's because I've noticed something about myself, and, getting older and getting started is usually harder than continuing. uh, Once I'm moving, though, I usually do more than what I thought I would. And here's something you could try yourself. The next time you don't feel like doing anything, that you needs to be done. Tell yourself, I'll give it, I'll do it in about 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and then that's it. 10 or 15 minutes goes by, and then, get it done. Go ahead and do it. Don't promise yourself you're going to finish the whole thing, of course, but, at least start it out. And because, sometimes we're not avoiding work, we're just avoiding the thought of how much work there is. And a whole garage sounds exhausting. Let me tell you. One shelf doesn't, in my garage, it's going to last about 30 minutes. So, and it's like, losing weight. Losing 30 pounds sounds overwhelming. And, here just in the last few months, last month or so, I've lost like 10 pounds. But I mean, that was on purpose. I have been going to the gym and things like that. So, taking a walk today, whatever. Building a business sounds enormous, but, if you're going to start, just, take one little step toward it and, do what you got to do. You just got to keep yourself from standing still. And here's another thing. The days you don't feel motivated, actually matter more than the days you do. And that anybody can work on something when they're excited about it. And the real test comes when nobody's watching and nothing's exciting is happening, and you're wondering whether any of it even makes a difference. And those days when I try to remember why I started, and sometimes I have to remind myself, and you don't have to feel like doing it. You just have to decide whether it still matters to you to do it, because those are two different completely things. I don't always feel like doing things that matter to me, but still they matter in some sense. And another thing I've learned is you're going to miss days. You're going to mess up, and you're going to have days when you absolutely get nothing accomplished, and that's life. The problem isn't missing one day. The problem is letting that one day become your permission to quit and not do it again. And, you miss Monday and think, well, I'll start again next week. If it's what kind of project it is. And then you ask why. And then Tuesday's right there, and you start Tuesday, and you ate something that you shouldn't have for lunch. Okay, you don't have to wait until next month to eat better. Start eating dinner. You think sometimes, we make starting over too complicated. You don't need a Monday, and you don't need a new month, and you don't need January 1st. You need the next opportunity, I guess. For me, consistency isn't about never failing. You got to keep going. It's about getting back on track a little faster, and, that's progress. Maybe years ago, I'd quit for 6 months, and then I'd come back for a month, and then a week, and then now maybe it's just a day or a couple hours. I think we need to give ourselves credit for that, because the goal isn't to become perfect, Who wakes up every morning at 5 excited about conquering the world? The goal is becoming somebody who can say, I don't really feel like doing this today, but I'm going to do a little bit anyway. And do that enough times, and those little efforts, they start adding up. So if you're struggling with the motivation right now, and here's what I would tell you, and don't wait for motivation to come back. Pick one thing and make it small, and give it a few minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, and start. And tomorrow do it again, and some days you'll do it a lot, and some days you'll barely do anything, but keep showing up, because 6 months from now, you probably won't remember which days you felt motivated and which days you didn't, and you'll remember whether you kept on going or not, and that's the biggest thing. So I hope you enjoyed today's little talk, and I'm Joe with Just Sharing Life, and if any of you have ever struggled with being consistent, leave a comment down below and tell me, what knocks you off track, or better yet, tell me what happens when you get started again, so if you know somebody who's waiting to feel motivated before they start again, then share this video with them, maybe this will be a little push that they need. So until next time, take care of yourself, be blessed, and remember, you don't have to feel motivated to move forward. You just have to take the next step. Appreciate you watching. Have a good one.